Welcome to New Hampshire's Business. I'm Fred Coker. New Hampshire and Governor Chris Sununu are pushing back on two major developments. They're called tariffs and online sales taxes. And let's take a look first at tariffs. These are the probable impacts in New Hampshire. $87 million for steel and aluminum imports, mainly from Canada, and $29.2 million in exports, building materials, industrial adhesives, clothing, chocolate, fans, and seafood. Now here is the broad picture of international trade for New Hampshire. $5.1 billion in goods that are exported from this state. And those top three markets are Canada, China, and Mexico. Think about that for a minute with the tariffs. And 20,000 jobs are tied to global trade. With me to talk about this and online sales taxes in a couple of minutes is the Commissioner of the New Hampshire Department of Business and Economic Affairs, Taylor Caswell. Welcome.
Hey, Fred.
Nice to have you. Commissioner, you and the governor have been both opposing the steel and aluminum tariffs in particular that have been imposed by the Trump administration. And that has mainly to do with Canada. What concerns are you hearing and seeing from New Hampshire businesses on that and other tariffs?
Well, the tariff issue generally, our major concern is, of course, the cost, and which it was effectively a tax on products. Right. But really what we're concerned with is what's happening in terms of the uncertainty it brings to the marketplace. Right. We've got a lot of businesses that do specific niche type of manufacturing. They might do one or two really key things that are part of something that is experiencing a tariff issue, and they're really going to get swept up in this kind of thing, which is what we're concerned with.
Any particular sector of the business economy in New Hampshire that you're concerned about with tariffs? Any particular segment?
Well, I think the most obvious hit's going to be in the aerospace area. You know, that's really where we see a lot of our steel and aluminum manufacturing happening there. But you know, as this continues to escalate, as we continue to see China and the United States go back and forth, I'm going to impose these tariffs, and then China says I'm going to impose those tariffs. We're a little concerned as to how far this is going to go. Right.
And you may have seen in New Hampshire Business Review an article by Bob Sanders, the reporter, that some of the companies are beginning to see price increases. ATS Precision in New Hampton and Summit Metal Fabricators in Plastow both use steel, and they're seeing increases of 12% to 30% already.
Yeah, and those are prices that are going to be passed on to consumers.
Yeah. Is the state of New Hampshire ready to help any of these companies if they get in trouble because of the tariffs?
Well, I mean, there is an opportunity, I think, under the tariff law that the federal government is pursuing to get an exemption. We have been working with a few companies to try to get at that, but that's a little hard to get to. Yeah. I think what we would really want to tell people is the fact that we still have a $5 billion export market in New Hampshire, right, and that what we're seeing being affected is a percentage of that. Now, of course, if you're someone like a lobsterman and you're getting slapped with a tariff by China, that means a lot to you.
It does.
But in terms of the overall export market, we are still seeing that grow, and we're going to continue to see that grow.
On the other topic, the U.S. Supreme Court decision. Let's put that graphic up, and here it is. The U.S. Supreme Court decision on online sales, that a state can force a small business to collect sales taxes for that state when that business sells their products in the state. And that has caused a lot of dust to be, and the governor and you and the legislative leadership and our attorney general here in New Hampshire are opposed to that. And there's a lot of activity already. A special session of the legislature called, or about to be called, right? And the Attorney General could be given power to even sue another state if it tried to impose the collection of their sales taxes on a New Hampshire business. Right. Just talk about that.
Sure. So what the Supreme Court did was they took what was called the physical presence rule, which meant that you had to actually have a facility in another state in order to be required to collect a sales tax for that state. What they did was they said, now that's going to apply across the board. You don't have to actually physically be in the state. So mostly internet sales tax, but also mail order and other types, catalog orders are going to be affected by this. And so what we're saying is that we don't have a sales tax. We don't have a system to collect a sales tax. And so what are we going to do to be able to say and protect our state's rights and say that we're not going to have businesses in New Hampshire be tax collectors for other states?
Yep. And we're going to talk more about that as the special session takes place and we see what the state is really going to do by law. Taylor Caswell, Commissioner of the Department of Business and Economic Affairs. Thank you.
Good to see you, Fred.
And if you want to listen to some of that again, because it's just going to keep happening for the next few months, you can go to WMUR.com, click on menu up at the top left-hand corner, click on local news, and then scroll down to New Hampshire's business.